Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening from here. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm super excited tonight. I'm super excited. This is one life you don't want to miss. So share the link. Share the link. Share the link. Call your friends. Call your family members. Call your colleagues. Call your spouse. Call your parents. Call everybody that needs to be on this live right now. And you know the next thing you're gonna do? Grab your popcorn and your drink because it's about to be a very important and interesting conversation. I remain Dr. Vera Chikezie. I'm the sex evangelist, and today we're going to be talking about sex and the law. Yes, the law. I was on a podcast some months back, and I talked about you know some legal things about sex. And I got a lot of clapbacks. I got a few encouragements. I got a few DMs saying, "Are you sure? Is this true? Is it possible? How can it be possible?" And it just got me thinking, wow, a lot of people don't know these things, and we need to inform them. We need to inform them about all these things. So again, I remain Dr. Vera Chikezie. I am the sex evangelist. Welcome to my channel. So if you've never been here before, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome. If it's your first time, welcome. Like we do it. Once you get here, let me see where you are joining us from. I'm streaming from Lagos, Nigeria. Where are you joining from? Comment where you're joining from, and let's take it to the next level. Let's take it to the next level. Kindly comment where you're joining from. I'm joining from Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. Where are you joining us from? Where are you joining us from? Where are you joining from? Let me see in the comment section where you are joining from. Let me see in the comment section where you are joining from. Where you're joining from. Zimbabwe, amazing. To the ends of the earth, to the ends of the earth, to the ends of the earth. Scotland, wow. Super excited, super excited. Our guest is already here. I just want to give a little time for more people to join. And please note, if you have questions, just drop your questions. We will deal with them. Trust me, we have time tonight. It's a Saturday night. Joining from Lagos, Nigeria, amazing. If if you have a question, just drop your questions. We would answer them. And without much ado, let me introduce our guest. I met our guest, even though he's a church member, but I met him when I said when you meet somebody, it's different from I know him, right? I know him as a church member, but I met him sometime 2024. Hi from Ontario, Canada. Thank you for joining. Share the link, share. Let's have more people on this live. Okay, I met him sometime 2024 when he had a conference, a legal conference, and it was tagged something about divorce. And I'm like, what are we talking about here, sir? And then during the conference, in the course of the conference, it talks about, how marriages starts, how marriages end, why marriages end, and how what the law says about these things. I was there as a sexologist, so I just talked about, how sex is a bonding glue and how we should, keep having good sex and whatnot. And it was a good day, right? Tell me why this guy that comes again. I say, man, do you know that sex is a ground for divorce? I say, please shift. He said, no, do you know? I said, shift, don't be telling me this kind of thing. Only for me to get in a conversation with him, and he broke it all down. And only my ear cannot hear this. I said, let me bring him, let him come and say it again to you, my audience, you, my family members, you that should know the right thing. So, without much ado, I'll be bringing up Mr. Olutumbi Abayomi. He is a legal practitioner. Sorry, I have to read it. He's a legal practitioner with over a decade of experience under his belt. He's the managing partner at Olutumbi Babayomi Chambers, Abbas Chambers, a firm with core specialization in divorce and matrimonial causes, domestic violence, child custody, and legal consultancy. In his area of specialization, he has carved a niche for himself and is known to be a divorce specialist who brings innovative solutions to divorce cases, child custody, and legal consultancy. He has handled high-profile cases for divorce clients and is known to always deliver beyond expectation. Mr. Lutumbi is an author and of several published legal articles, to mention a few: The Hawking Nigerian Child, A Persistent Failure of the Child's Rights Act 2003, The Menace Called Rape in Our Society, 8 Myths About Divorce in Nigeria, 5 Steps to Take If Your Spouse Leaves the Marriage, Understanding Prenuptial Agreements, The Nigerian Perspective. Hello, is your popcorn ready? Is your tea drink ready? Okay, let's go. He is the brain behind the Legal Town Crier page on Instagram, which is committed to sharing useful knowledge about divorce and child custody in Nigeria. This page has gained massive popularity over the years and continues to grow. He has hosted several public figures and stakeholders on this platform. Mr. Tumbi is the convener of the webinar series on divorce and violence in Nigeria. The webinar series has had 2 editions so far. The second webinar series in May 2023 was tagged Domestic Violence in Marriages and the Impact of Society. And the guest speaker was Mrs. Titilola Vivo Adeniyi, the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency. Mr. Tumbi is an alumnus of the prestigious Afe Babalola University and a pioneer member of the College of Law. He's happily married to his longtime best friend, Dr. Rachel Babayomi, and he enjoys spending time with his family, traveling, and networking with people. Thank you. Okay, I would love to bring up Mr. Olutumbi Babayomi. So, ladies and gentlemen, is your popcorn ready? Is your chilled drink ready? If you are ready, give a round of applause for Mr. Olutumbi Babayomi.
Thank you for having me, Coach. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And good evening, everybody joining from the ends of the earth, like you said. I like that description. The ends of the earth.
Yes, so to the ends of the earth, to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, that's the agenda. That's the agenda.
Yeah, thank you so much for choosing to do this in your tight, busy schedule. I know you could have a legal conference coming up somewhere out of this Lagos,
Yeah.
but you agreed to be here with me and with us, so that I don't take much of your time. Okay, sex and the law. I think I tried to explain to you how this came about. I was on a podcast a few months back, and then I just slipped it in that if you've not had sex for 2 years, is a ground for divorce. And people say, I should close my mouth. What I mean by that? People say sending me DMs. Now, what do I mean by that? That you know what it is? Yes, I understand that we are Christians.
Yes.
Understand that we are Christians. I do not take that for granted at all. But there's something that says that there's a scripture that says that people perish for lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge, absolutely.
For lack of knowledge. So we want to gain knowledge today. We want to understand this, how the law affects our sex lives. Because some people just think that sex is just plug and play, do
Mm,
anyhow, as you feel like,
mm,
as you want, not knowing that there are legal backings to this thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I will start first by saying, um, does being married, or rather, let's start with, what are some common misconceptions about that people have about sex and marriage from a legal point of view? What are the common misconceptions?
Interesting, Coach. Thank you so much again for having me. So any topic that concerns divorce and concerns sex always interests me, and there are a lot of misconceptions, a lot of misconceptions. So I will start with 3 to 5 very quick. Now, the first general misconception is that most people do not know that sex is a right in marriage. The law, so many people think, sex is just a privilege. When we get married, sex, you can have sex anyhow, whether with your partner, whether without your partner. But many people fail to understand that sex is actually something the law guarantees you as a right when you're married. And I think I shared this with you when we spoke. Now, another thing I did mention when we spoke was this, coach. Do you know that under the law, the first two, okay, I'll call them grounds or facts, we call them facts in law, but the first two facts for which a divorce can be granted touches on sex. So there are 8 of them, but the first on the list touches on sex. It just shows how important, even the law recognizes that marriage without sex is nothing to write home about. Now, another misconception I hear oftentimes, out there, is that um, when you're married, if your spouse refuses to have sex with you, or if there's a misunderstanding or whatever the case, you have the liberty to go and do it with somebody else, right? Because if the person you got married to is not giving it to you, go and look for it outside, and there's no consequence. Definitely a misconception, and that misconception has landed a lot of people in trouble, because the second ground under which a divorce can be granted is adultery, right? So if you take your sexual appetite outside of your marriage, be very sure that your spouse has a right to file for divorce, and it will be granted. But of course, there must be proof to show, right? Now, I think another misconception I hear out there is that the law, so sex under the law, only touches on penetration between man and a woman, but that is not entirely true. Yes, the English definition for sex is, there must be penetration between a man and a woman, at least under our law, not a man and a man. Under our law, thank God for Christ. Right? Now, but
Wait,
if
wait,
we
under wait. Don't be saying this is fast, fast. Wait, under our law,
yes.
under our law. When you say our, is it Nigeria? Is it Africa? Is it global? Let's this season, see, I'm writing, cannot be just saying it fast, fast like that. When you say
All right,
our
coach.
law,
Yes.
under our law, is it Nigerian law? One question first, or global law?
Okay. So let me streamline it to say under the laws in Nigeria and generally
Okay.
most countries in Africa. Of course, outside of Nigeria and Africa, things are a little bit different, right? In Europe and the likes and all that, things are a little bit different. But looking at Nigeria and most countries in Africa, when you define sex by the law, you are talking of a man and a woman, right? Coming together to,
If we hear it under Nigerian law, sex is between a man and a woman.
absolutely,
One.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. So that misconception has led a lot of people to make assumptions, right? And I think that it's even one of the major reasons why a lot of marriages fail. But I won't go into that in detail yet. I'm sure we'll still touch on it as we discuss. But this misconception of you can do whatever you want to do with yourself, with your body, and all that. And I think this misconception I'm explaining, coach, is so important, because people think that if you can, for instance, we've gone beyond just sex. The law now recognizes sexting. So if there's proof to show that you are having sexual nudities, right? Somebody is sending you pictures, or somebody is sending you lewd messages, or even it's so interesting that I've won a case that we said this man committed adultery, and the only thing we had was we had multiple hotel receipts with the husband, right, going to a particular hotel. We did not have pictures or anything of the woman he was with, but the court agreed with us that it can be presumed that if you as a married man, you have a house, you are not homeless, you have a house, you have a bed. Why are you paying multiple visits to a particular hotel, right? So it can be explained in different ways, but there are so many conceptions. I think another conception I hear out there, I've heard out there in my practice now is this issue of I don't want to touch on it because this is your area, sex toys. Oh my goodness, it's
Please
our
touch
law.
on it. Help us bring the legal aspect to it,
Yes.
sir.
So,
Touch on it.
so you see, coach, our law is not very rich yet on this sex toys thing, right? I can tell you clearly that as of this present moment, there is no law in Nigeria that banishes the use of sex toys, right? That illegalizes it or makes it legal. So I think that we still have that cultural perspective to it in the sense of, oh, the law doesn't want to go into the privacy of whatever happens in your bedroom. It's only when it comes outside that there's a problem. And then it comes outside as adultery, for instance. Then we know that there's a problem. It can also come outside when a person goes to court and say, my lord, since I married this man, he has refused to give it to me. Or the woman is saying, my lord, since I married this woman, she has refused to give it to me. And the court would grant an order for divorce. So what the law says is if you continuously and perpetually deny your partner conjugal rights, it's a ground for divorce. Absolute ground for divorce. Absolute ground.
Let's pause there small. You people,
No
are
problem.
you hearing? Are you people hearing? Are you people hearing this thing? Those that want to bring afan soup, those that want to bring ice cream, those that want to bring popcorn, bring it. Share this link. We need to have these conversations. We need to
Very.
have these conversations. One thing I picked again that he said is that you cannot just because you are married, you can't just do anything anyhow because you are in the confines of marriage. Right. I got that. He also said that under the Nigerian law, sex is between a man and a woman. You started talking about the penetrative aspect, which I wanted to also agree with you with the fact that sex is not just penetration. So the law also recognizes the fact that sex is not only penetration.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's be taking it up. What should someone do if they because a lot of people sent in questions. So I'm just, you know, entering our conversation around the questions that I have.
No problem.
What
I'm
should
here for
someone
it. Let's go.
do if they believe their spouse is sexually abusing or coercing them? For
Hmm.
instance, you want to
Okay.
have sex, and then your spouse wants to have sex, and you see it as abuse. Do you understand? Now you didn't give a copy. I think I should ask a preamble to
Okay.
that question.
Okay.
Yes, and it has to be consent. I saw it somewhere. I'm coming. It has to do with consent. Okay, it's the question. The question is this: the fact that we're married, does it automatically say that every time you want to have sex, your spouse should want to have sex? Or does it automatically say that because I gave the go ahead, I cannot retrieve my consent along the line?
That's
I don't know
that's
if
a
you
very good question, and I would answer that question without sentiments, specifically on what the law cover. Right now, under our laws, specifically Nigeria, right? Now, once you get married, legal marriage now legal marriage, right? So once that marriage happens, what the law says is that you got married to this person to the exclusion of every other person. So it means that in richness and in health, in sickness and in death, even in sexual needs and otherwise, it touches on it as well. So what it then explains further is this: when you are married and your spouse wants sex, ordinarily it's not done when you should say no, right? Now, in present day, we've not had a case where a person goes to court to say, "Oh, my lord, for the past 24 hours, my husband has not had sex with me, or my wife has not had sex with me." It may be ridiculous because I mean it's just 24 hours, right? But for the fact that the law captures the possibility of a person denying the other person sexual rights, it means that it's possible. So to the question that says, if you're married, can you deny your partner sex? No, the answer is no. The law expects that you don't deny, right? That is why the law says if you have been denied, come to court. And it's interesting, coach, because the courts are saying that if your husband or your wife is denying you sex, come to the judge. I will order him to sleep with you. And yeah, it's under the law. And if he fails to sleep with you in 1 year after my order, it's a crime. Your
So the
marriage can
judge
be
will give order that go and sleep
absolutely.
with your wife.
Yes. The very first ground of fact under which a case can be dissolved is that your partner has continuously denied you conjugal benefits. Now, if you bring that case to court as a ground for divorce, and the judge asks you, for instance, do you want us to dissolve this case, or do you want me to give your husband an order to go and do his conjugal duties to you? If you subscribe to the order and the court gives that order, and 1 year after that order has been given by the court, your spouse still denies you sexual benefits, you can come back to court to get a divorce. So it only shows how important it is. But generally, the law does not expect that when you're married, you deny your spouse sex. No, it's not acceptable. It's their right. It's their right. But there's the reasonability to it. Of course, it can't be every day. It can be 3, 4 times every day. In this busy world where we are working for money, why do you want to have the time to be doing it every day? You know, but I've seen. I'll give you an instance, coach. I had a client sometime. I think it was 3 years ago. Now, this was about 5 years ago. It was my first case that we were going to court to get a dissolution of marriage on the ground of sex, denial of sex. Now, this case wasn't even that the man was denying the woman sex. It was that he was asking for too much sex. She said her husband wants to sleep with her at least 4 times a day, every day for the 3 years, and she can no longer handle it. The court threw our case out, because according to the mind of the judge, what she has is a blessing, and she should stop complaining. But I think it only shows that the law is very mindful of what benefits arise in marriage or when it comes to sex. Very important. It's the foundation of every marriage.
Okay, so at least we've established the fact that sex is a ground for divorce. We have established that fact,
That's correct.
right? Yes, that has been established. Now, what about infidelity? How does the law treat sexual relationships outside of marriage?
Hmm. Very, very, very important question, coach. Now, infidelity is the second fact or ground under which a divorce can be granted. Now, the law says that, I think it's important I mention that the law says that, once infidelity is committed, you can come to court and ask for a divorce. But there must be proof. And I think the proof is where the challenge usually lies, right? So it's easy to prove infidelity if there's a child from the infidelity. That one we don't need any further evidence. The child is the evidence from the infidelity, right? Now, the law also says something that is very important, which many people take for granted. Now, I'll paint it in an example. If in 2026 a wife catches her husband sleeping with somebody, and then by December, all through from August to say September, they went, through therapy. She forgave the husband, and then they resumed sleeping together as a couple. If it then happens again in January 2027 that she's tired of the marriage and she wants to leave, the law is saying that she cannot use infidelity as a ground to leave that marriage, because if your spouse commits infidelity and you forgive and you begin to sleep with that spouse, what the law simply says is that you've condoned that infidelity. You've condoned it. So now, another thing on infidelity is this: if infidelity, because infidelity is a ground for divorce, the law recognizes that it's possible not to have proof, pictures or videos to show that there's infidelity. So there's what we call circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidences can be if, for instance, there are chats between your spouse and another person, a man or a woman, where they are, for instance, celebrating a past sexual escapade, right? Or where they are looking forward to having a next sexual escapade. We can use that as proof of infidelity. Now, if there are also chats of lewd messages, sometimes pictures of lewdness, if you find it on the phone of your spouse, we can use that as a ground for infidelity to show the court that truly infidelity has happened, right? Now, if your spouse is the type that travels a lot, and because his or her schedule, and they use traveling as a reason to always go and see their partner out there, it's also if you have proof. So in essence, infidelity may be difficult to prove if there isn't clear evidence, but it's not impossible. We've done it so many times. We've done it so many times. And one very final thing, coach, and this one I think you will find very interesting. Now, do you know that infidelity, according to the law, is defined? Do you know that if you are coming to court to file a case for divorce on the ground of infidelity, the law says that yes, you can file the divorce, but you're also entitled to compensation from the person your partner slept with.
From the affair partner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you can bring your husband and bring that partner to court and tell the court that, my lord, this is the reason why my marriage broke, because of this person. Therefore, I want compensation of 30 million or 10 million. Yes, you can claim damages. You can absolutely claim damages from that partner. But again, there must be proof of the infidelity. So it's very possible. The law allows
Yes.
for it. The law captures it, and
This
there are cases that
this
have been won.
this is news to me, actually. This is news to me because most times the betrayed partner, now the person that was cheated on, right,
Yes.
usually lives with heartbreak and nothing and not whatnot. Coming to know that you don't need to swear for the person, you just take the person to court with
Yes, yes. You
the
can
person
get
will pay for damages. We
You pay
didn't know
heavily.
this.
Heavily, sir. You pay heavily.
We didn't know this. Okay, that's being established. Now I have a few questions. Somebody says that to all our viewers, everybody watching, you can send in your questions or drop your questions in the comment section or send a DM on Instagram with your questions and we'll take them. Right. There's this question. It says, yes, which is the basis of this whole conversation. My spouse hasn't had sex with me for 2 years. Can I sue for that? That's one aspect. One aspect. Now, another side to this, with these greener pastures, let's go and look for where the grass is green. We then leave, there's a separation. The husband goes to the country that the land is green, and the wife stays in the country that the land is brown, and then yes, now because then there now happens to be the fact that they are trying to file for them to come together for one reason or the other. Trump says something, this person says the other thing, they're not able to meet up, right?
Yeah.
Year one pass, year two pass. right? Can the spouse file for a divorce? Or what is your advice to this person?
Very good question. Thank you, coach. So to the first question, your husband has not slept with you for 2 years. You have, in fact, your case is very, very. Is the kind of case I like. It's very ripe.
He said you
Very
like
ripe.
it.
Yeah, it's a very ripe case. Because it's a clear ground for dissolution of that marriage. However, one thing we need to understand is, even though the consummation has not happened, we need to understand what led to it, to ascertain that it's not a medical condition, or to ascertain that there's no problem. So beyond just the consummation, there are other questions we want to ask as well. Let's know, okay, when was the last time sex happened? What happened after that? Why did your husband stop requesting, or making the move for sex, right? So of course, but first response is it's a ground for divorce, but we need to investigate further to get more information. Now, to the second question, this one is a national code. This one is a national problem. It's a national problem, and
The global
it is.
issue.
Yeah, it is. It is. And honestly, I think 90% of the clients I have in diaspora file for divorce majorly on this thing. Because one spouse is here, the other spouse leaves the country, and they are hoping that papers will come in for you to join the other spouse, and it never happens. So now this is what the position of the law is. The law says that if you've been married, right, and you and your spouse have lived apart for 2 years, and under the 2 year rule, what the law says is that if you want to come under the 2 year rule, the other party must consent to the divorce. So it means that even if the two of you, there's no misunderstanding, there's no quarrel, just that papers are not coming through, and you mutually agree that, what, let's stop trying, let's stop wasting money, let's stop hoping. The hope is killing me. I can't live without a man in this country, or live without a woman in this country. I need to get my life going. Both of them can agree, right? Under that instance, there's no quarrel or misunderstanding. We're just going to court under the 2 year rule. Now, the next rule is the 3 year rule. If both parties have lived apart in different countries for more than 3 years, what the law simply says is you can file for a divorce. Under the 3 year rule, you don't need the consent of the other party. All you just need is to show that there's been 3 years separation between the two of you. And the 3 years must be straight 3 years, coach. It must not be broken. So for
Not
instance,
cut and made.
yes, it mustn't be cut and joined. It must be a length, of 3 years at a go. And I've seen this happen so many times. It's so sad. It's so sad. Couples who they want to stay married, but the realities are not just aligning. They're not just aligning. And it's so sad. So sad. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen.
Okay, so this, let me say that they will hear it clearly. Sometimes they like to hear my voice. They will hear it clearly. The 2 year rule states that if they are apart for 2 years at a stretch, right, and they need to agree for the divorce to be given. There needs to be an
That's correct.
agreement
That's correct.
between two of them.
That's
Now,
correct.
the 3 year rule, you don't need anybody's consent.
You don't need consent.
Just fine.
Just file. That's correct.
Okay, so the question now is this under Nigerian law or global law?
So it is specifically tailored to Nigeria. It is tailored to Nigeria. It is just
Specifically
Nigeria.
tailored
And
to
some
Nigeria.
countries in Africa also have this position as well.
Okay, okay, okay. Another question goes that my spouse cheated, but we are still legally married. Does that change anything legally?
Interesting. Interesting. So if for the fact that the person is still in the marriage, clearly the person still wants the marriage, and the person has forgiven the spouse for that infidelity, right? So it doesn't change anything under the law. You know, the fidelity happened, you've forgiven, you've moved past it. Definitely, two of you have resumed consummation. Maybe there's even a child after that infidelity. So it's a good thing. Continue your happy you continue your happily ever after, and if you need more sexual advice, consult Coach Vera. She will give you the details you need. But under the law, there's nothing wrong with that marriage, legally speaking.
Okay, there's this question. I think it's a general question. It says, what are the biggest legal mistakes couples make when dealing with sexual issues during separation or divorce?
Hmm. That's a very good question. Hmm. The mistakes couples make during divorce sexually. So there are quite a number. There are quite a number. So I would touch on a few. Now, the most common one I see is that people are in court. A couple, they are in court for a divorce, but without this has happened. I mean, I've been a victim of this as a lawyer, where my clients are sneaking behind our back, the back of both lawyers to see each other. And I've been a victim. Oh my God. I've been a victim, which is why when I'm doing divorce cases, I collect 70% upfront. In case you and the other person want to act funny, I might, but in all sincerity, when it comes to mistakes people make who are in court when they're in court for a divorce, it happens. They sneak behind the back of both lawyers, to have sex and all that. Sometimes there's even a child from it. That's happened in my firm as well. Now, another mistake I see happen most times, right, is that you are in court for a divorce. Both parties are in court for a divorce, and then one party, either the man or the woman, is already flaunting pictures on social media of another person, going out, sometimes even going on vacation, sometimes doing, and you are people make this error because they don't understand that until the case is dissolved, until the case is concluded and the marriage is dissolved, you are still married even while in court. So if you're flaunting pictures online, it's very simple. If I'm the lawyer, I will say, Bring those pictures to me. We will add a ground of infidelity to that case we have in court." I see this happen so many times. In fact, I did a case, it was about 6, 7 years back. I did this case, and while we were in court, this man secretly went to do introduction in the village of another woman. Unknown to him, the pictures got to my client. She sent it to me, and we just added the documents to what we had in court. So when it comes to marriages that are in court for dissolution, what I usually counsel people is, see, the faster you conclude your case, the better for you. Now, because the misconceptions are there, and people usually fall into this error. Now, another misconception, coach, and this one is quite interesting. Now, many people, and it's also a trap. I've seen many people who assume that because they've been separated from their spouse, they can go into the dating market and make themselves available for somebody to call them baby again. This is you are if you do this, you are genuinely shooting yourself in the foot, especially if your spouse gets to find out that you are in court for a divorce. In fact, I've seen it. This was in my case. It was another case I saw in court. I was in court one day, and this lady came to court with her boyfriend while she
Ah,
was people have mind.
very bold somebody.
She came to court with the boyfriend, and immediately the man saw the guy. He knew because he said he's been hearing rumors. So he saw the man, saw the face, and he said, "This is the man that has been sleeping with my wife." So his lawyer did what he had to do. So when you're in court for a divorce, until your case is done, is your period of abstinence. Is your period of abstinence. Do nothing with nobody. At least, I won't say, I won't approve that you do it. I will just say do nothing with nobody. But if you do it at the back and you are caught, you had more problem to what you already have in court. So while the case is in court, until the judge gives the order that dissolves the marriage, they're still married. They're still married. Now, there's a case presently ongoing in my firm. Now, this case, the man is in Nigeria. No, the woman is in Nigeria. The man is abroad. Now, in the period of the case, my firm represents the man. The woman stopped coming to court suddenly. She was always never in court anymore, And I kept asking a lawyer, what's going on? Why is your client not coming to court? We need her to attend the trial and do more important things. Only for us to find out, coach, that this woman was heavily pregnant. She was heavily pregnant. That's why she was. And there's a stage pregnancy we get to, you cannot cover it anymore. It
You
will expose
cannot
it.
cover
You
it.
understand? So apparently, she had taken it for another man and was doing everything possible to avoid coming to court. But we had to tell the court
Oh,
to give an order for her to come to court. If she's interested in pursuing the case. So she came, we saw the baby, and we didn't even bother going forward with the case. All we needed to do was let the court know the situation of things. And we added another fact, infidelity. She's pregnant. And of course, the pregnancy was looking like a 7 or 8 months pregnancy. So it's an error many people make when they're in court for a divorce. They think their marriage is over and they can do anything they want to do. No, you cannot. Wait until that marriage is dissolved before you start anything serious. That's my take.
so the same way we say you are single until you are married means
Absolutely.
that we also say that you are married until you are
Until
single.
exactly. Very spot on. Very spot on.
Wow. So I have this question, right? Is it possible? Is it possible for a spouse
Okay.
to, okay, let me put it this way. Is it possible for a spouse to intentionally withhold sex from the partner with the intention of a divorce? Not that is
Hmm.
it possible, is it punishable? That's the question I'm asking. As in, is there any legal implication, right, from a spouse that, like you've said, they are married until there is a divorce,
That's
until the
correct.
divorce proceeding has been is completed. Now the question is it you know my question, Sha.
I
Is
understand your
it
question. I understand your
as
question.
in that is there any legal implication of a spouse intentionally withholding sex because the person knows that sex is a ground for divorce? Now, is there any legal implication of a spouse intentionally withholding sex from his or her partner on the grounds of I want to get a divorce?
Hmm. So now I would answer the question this way. It is not a crime under our criminal law. So in other words, nobody's going to jail for withholding sex. Nobody's going to jail. Now, what the law says in this regard is this. It is possible for you to come to court and tell the court that your spouse has continuously and intentionally. So there must be the intentionality there. So it means that you who is coming to court, you've tried several times. Maybe you've even gone shopping. You've taken advice from Coach Vera on how to woo your husband. How to come in,
How did
looking
I
hot,
enter this matter now?
and you've tried everything possible, but the man is still not bulging, or the woman is still not bulging. Now, it is possible for you to come to court after a period of time. In fact, I watched your video where you said 2 years. That's absolutely correct. But the law even makes it lesser sometimes. If it's a 6 month thing, or if it's a 3 5 months thing, so there is no spelled out timeline under the law, right? That says that um, you must wait until 2 years, or you must wait until 3 years, or 6 months. If your sexual drive, is very high, and your spouse is not giving it to you in 3 months, in 4 months, there will be problem with that person, right?
Yeah.
So the person doesn't need to wait that long. The only thing that must happen is that your marriage must be more than 2 years, right? So that is majorly the only rule, that you can't bring a case to a case for dissolution of marriage if the marriage is not up to 2 years. There are exceptions to it, no doubt. So nobody goes to jail for not having sex with their spouse. The I know, as much as people want it to happen, want the law
People
to
want it to happen. People
put
want
a
it to
man
happen.
and
Trust
say
me.
that this guy, I married him because of sex. Now he's refusing to give me sex. No, there is nobody going to jail for refusing to have sex. At best, it becomes a ground under which the marriage can be dissolved. But no jail time whatsoever. No jail time. No jail time.
So, um, this one now has not it doesn't really have anything to do with divorce, right? But I wanted to ask: are there sexual acts or sexual practices that the law stands against?
Hmm. That's a very very good question, Coach. Very good question. So I would answer this way. Now there's a definition of what the law understands sex to be, right? The law says under Nigerian law, the law says sex is consummation, the meeting of a man and a woman for conjugal purposes, right? Now there are other acts that may appear to be conjugal, but the law frowns at them, right? Now, there is a law that criminalizes lesbianism, anything under the LGBTQ, that community. I hope I'm not going to offend your foreign audience, but I'm touching majorly on Nigeria.
It's our Nigerian law. So,
Yeah,
spill.
we don't have any law that legalizes any of those things in Nigeria. So if it happens, it's a crime punishable by jail term, right? Now, the law also criminalizes it. I don't even know if I should call it intercourse because I'm about to describe intercourse with what we call bestiality under the law, right? So intercourse between a
With
woman
sex
and
with
an animal,
animals.
so maybe we should call it intercourse. So the law criminalizes it. It's a crime. If it happens, it's a crime. The law also, this is something many people don't know, and I wish we had known this earlier in Africa and in Nigeria. There are categories of people that cannot get married in Nigeria. And if they get married, it would be interpreted to be a crime. For instance, people who are cousins, if there's blood relationship, you can't marry your distant cousin, you can't marry your cousin's brothers. As long as there's a family relationship, it's impossible for that marriage to be legal. It's impossible for it to be legal. So any marriage conducted in that regard, what the law is saying is that no, it's not permitted under the law, right? So it stretches to the sexual experiences that would happen in that kind of relationship. If you marry your cousin, so this practice we do in Nigeria, for instance, where um, somebody dies. I don't know if it's still practiced now, in the East, where a brother dies and his younger brother marries his wife, right? And then
Yeah.
takes her. It's a very funny custom, but generally under the law, these are a few of those instances where there may be sexual experiences, but the law frowns at them in totality. In totality, frowns at them.
Hmm. Wow. Wow is
Yeah,
what I can.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Ah, no. It's a. The truth that I've heard most of these things with you, or I've heard it having conversations with you, but as they're saying it again, I'm like, the law have not changed. It's still
It's
like this.
strange, and coach, we're even moving to the era very soon where people are now where robots are being built for this thing. So our law needs to be updated. Our law really needs to be updated. Some countries are already rolling out robots, robot spouses and robot partners. So there was so much we need to do. We're making move for the Senate to amend our marriage act because it's so outdated, so outdated, so outdated.
Okay, so as we wrap up, we got see this is just life. We're still going to shoot videos on this. We're still going to do the podcast is coming, so we're still going to have in-depth conversations on this. But as we wrap up, if you could give every married couple one piece of legal advice about sex before they ever face a divorce, what would it be?
Thank you for coach. This question, I already have a response for this question.
Are
I've
you
prepared,
serious?
I've prepared it down. And my simple
Ah,
response, I'm telling you about my simple response, and I think you would all, I've heard you say this also some time ago. compatibility is a scam. Is a scam. Many
I
people
still
wrong.
talked about it at the event I went to today.
Yeah, yeah. I
Compatibility.
listened to
I
it a
still
bit,
talked about
and it's a scam. Many people run with this mantra of, oh, marry somebody you're sexually compatible with. There's nothing called sexual compatibility. So if I was to advise every intending couple, or every present couple that may be having issues in their sexual marriage, I think that if we can discuss about money, we can discuss about dreams and goals. I have observed in my experience that many couples do not discuss about their sexual needs. Many couples, they just freestyle with it. And one person will be suffering in the marriage, quietly suffering, until the day happens where he or she cannot take it any longer, and then infidelity comes in. So the
yeah.
discussions that we do during courtship, that what do they call it? There's a name for it. Talking stage. That talking
Talking
stage
stage,
that
yeah.
sex must be discussed. It has to be. And coach, I think you need to roll out questions people need to talk about. During this talking stage, which are around sex, because I mean it's your field. But I've seen it happen so many times, and I cannot emphasize it enough. There is very little or no conversation about sex. Now, I think there's one case that has touched me over the years, and I always use as an example. It's a case particularly on sex, right? This woman got married to this man, very eager to get married. They got married, and first 2 years, 3 years, they were trying for a child. No child. Fifth year, no child. Until they got to the 90th of the marriage. And the woman said, you know what? Before I married you, I've lived a kind of life. So I know I can get pregnant. Right? Now, they went to the hospital to do tests, only to discover that the man had zero sperm count. Now, coach, I think the zero sperm count is not even the shocking thing. The shocking thing is that the man and his family knew that he had zero sperm count, and they did not disclose. So literally, this woman she was deceived into marrying the man,
She was
and that was
deceived. She was
yeah
deceived.
that was the ground for that case. So I think beyond the Q&A, the talking stage questions, we need to bring in medical tests. We need to bring in medical tests. I think it's better if you know the fertility state of your partner, you know, and before I've done cases where they were married. In fact, this one was interesting. I think I'll wrap up with this, coach. One of my most interesting sexual cases was these people. They were married for 12 years. In 12 years, they never had sex once. They never had sex in 12 years. It will sound shocking. They never had sex in 12 years because the man found it difficult to penetrate every time. The pain was excruciating for the woman, and she refused to submit herself to medical tests. So at some point, the man got tired, reached out to me, and we filed for the case. Now, in the process of the divorce case in court, the woman started going around looking for medical help, and then discovered that okay, she has a problem. There are so many things that everything she was facing was treatable, but she refused to submit herself to medical because she didn't know. She had never explored all her life. She married as a virgin. So it was difficult for her to understand why her husband, every time he wants to penetrate, her body just tightens up and all everything. So it's a thing that people are going through. Sex, oh, it has to be discussed. It has to be taken to the hospital. It has to be tested. Be sure people, and then in some countries abroad, I don't know if we have it in Nigeria, but I know that some countries abroad, you can go beyond just testing for fertility. You can now test for access to see if your partner is accessible when you want to do the do, because that one too can be an issue for some people. So these are the few points of mine, and I hope with these few points, I've been able to convince the panel of judges that sex is very important. Even the law does not joke with it at all.
Ah, Mr. Olutumbi. Let me clap first.
My
Let me clap
coach.
first. Let me
My
clap first.
coach.
Let me clap first. Let me clap first. Okay. You have done your own now as a
Yes.
lawyer. You
Okay.
have you have done the legal aspects, right? Now let's talk about the sexual aspects. That's my office, right? Now, I remember you said married as a virgin, right? Being a virgin is not an excuse for ignorance.
True.
Being a virgin is not an excuse for ignorance. Being a virgin is not an excuse for not getting information. I mean, the information is out there.
It
Do you
is.
understand? Just if
Yeah.
you have a question, put it. I'm saying the questions, I will ask them. It's not an excuse for ignorance. Now, that being said, I have a 2 days masterclass coming up in September, preparing couples for the do before I do.
Hmm.
And I'm very
Interesting.
clear. I am not doing premarital counseling. Go to your
Hmm.
church, go and get professional relationship and marriage coach and do that. My focus is sex.
Hmm.
For those 2 days, the focus is sex. So we are preparing couples that are planning for wedding, that are planning to get married
Okay.
for
Okay.
sex in marriage.
Okay.
Right. Now, part of the curriculum, you're going to have to go and do all these tests. You know, what is it? We need to be updating our OS. We need to be
Yeah.
updating our
Yeah.
software part time, part time, part
Definitely.
time. Before it was just genotype,
Mm-hmm.
HIV,
HIV,
hepatitis. You know,
pregnancy.
there are fertility tests that should be done before venturing into marriage.
Hmm.
There are series of fertility tests that should be done before venture. So you're entering with your eye clear. Love is
Clear.
not blind.
Yeah.
Or they say love is blind, but marriage is the healer.
Marriage to open it up.
Marriage is the healer. Yes. You need to go to the hospital and say, oh, they have a package for it. It's actually called premarital testing. We're
Oh, okay.
getting married. We want to undergo premarital testing, or we plan to get married. We want to undergo premarital testing. The woman will go through her fertility testing. They will check her hormonal balancing, her hormonal, they'll do hormonal profiling. They will check her what they call it, production of egg production and all whatnot. Nothing intrusive, but there are basic tests that they can do to actually test for fertility.
Okay.
So that's a different conversation. Now that one pay me now because the man knew, his family knew.
Hmm.
If only this girl knew that she could test for these things, probably would
Hmm.
not be
That's
here.
true. True.
So
Very
being a
true.
virgin is not an excuse for ignorance. Is not an excuse for ignorance at all. Right. That being said, um, there was a question I saw there. Yes. So I remember, sorry, I'm bringing our conversation outside.
No problem.
I
No
remember we had
problem.
a conversation
No issue.
about infidelity, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you were asking if toys can be assimilated as
Hmm.
infidelity. I say
Yeah.
let us bring it out to the public, right?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
typically, what is sex? What is sex? What is sex? Sex, like you have defined, is mating between a man
Man,
and a woman,
and woman.
right?
Yes.
That's what the law recognizes as sex. Now they can come up with different stories about, oh, we use this, is between inside the man and woman. We are using these toys in. Now, do you know that when the toys are used in the beginning, maybe you're using it with your spouse, you are
Yeah.
in quotes enjoying yourself. Now, when your spouse is not available for a period of time, you now
Mm-hmm.
have a substitute to your spouse. Men and brethren, do you know that your
Hmm.
spouse can actually file for a divorce on the grounds of infidelity. Why? Because you have had sex, you have pleasured yourself with something else other than your spouse. You have introduced a third party. So when we are having this sex toys conversation, when we are having it, what's that English? Casually. My pastor will say that there's
Yeah.
not like casual sex. Casual sex brings casualties.
I like
Yes,
that side.
when we are having this sex toys conversation casually, we need to think about the in-depth about it. If your husband goes to the court and says, "Hello, excuse me, Mr. Judge, she betrayed me,"
Hmm.
and the judge asks, "How did she betray you?" "She used a dildo in place of me."
Hmm. Hmm. It can
If
be
he
argued.
can prove that, if he
Yeah.
can prove that he was betrayed, I mean,
Mhm.
why is this?
And it don't
Is somebody
consent to.
saying, "Wahala not too much like this"? It's too
It's
much.
getting
It's
too much.
plenty.
It's getting too much.
It's deep. It's deeper than this. Exactly. There's nothing like casual. Casual sex brings casualties.
Yeah.
It brings casualties. You know. So there's a question here that I want us to answer. Enona says they should not join. They should do intrusive tests too, because there's plenty problem. Problem is not good. They should do intrusive
Not too
tests
much.
too.
Yes.
Yes. There's a question here that says, as a divorce lawyer, what are the top 3 reasons you see reoccurring that leads to divorce in this day and age? Somebody asked a
Hmm.
similar question like that. So, yeah.
I get. I can go on. I can go on. Can I go on, Coach?
Yes, you can go on.
Okay.
Yes,
I get
please.
asked this question a lot, and I already have a list of 5 things that I've learned. In my close to 2 decades of
Five
this practice.
things.
Yes, there are 5 major things that I've learned lead to divorce. Now, the first on the list is always misunderstandings. Of course, not properly handled. Misunderstandings always top the list. So one misunderstanding swept under the carpet leads to many others, and then at some point you realize that you don't even know the reason why you are fighting, because so many things have happened after that. But now, on the list of 5, let me start. First one is finances. Money is always a very big deal. Money is always a very big issue in marriages. Whether money mishandled, or money not properly coming in, or one person spending money on drugs and different habits, basically, right? Or one person being overburdened with the finances of the home, and the other person is just nonchalant. So money is a major issue. Second on the list, I would say, is extended families. Oh my God, Coach, you don't want to know the number of cases I've handled that the divorce happened because of the extended family.
Can you imagine?
I have a case we are doing in the firm right now. This man filed for the divorce because his mother, the wife's mother, has too much influence over her mother, over her daughter. There's no decision they take in that house that the woman does. She must give a green light before they can do that decision. They had their first child. The man wanted the second child. The woman went to get her mother's approval.
Ah,
It was that bad. Before they can change furniture, Coach, it got even to furniture. Before they could change furniture, before she purchases a dress for herself, her mother must look at it. Extended family, too much influence is happening that is destroying homes. Is destroying homes. I don't know if it's that longer culturing the way culture should culture, but the influence and the lack of boundaries is terrible. Now, I've mentioned finances, I've mentioned extended family. The next one, of course, is infidelity, right? So I would say sex, right? When sex is not properly managed, it leads to infidelity, and infidelity, you can't once it starts, you can't stop it, except the person takes conscious steps, goes to the, I mean, coach is your field, infidelity recovery therapy and the likes. But once that happened, so first three things: money, the extended family, and sex. The next one I want to mention that I've observed in my years of experience is this thing we call um, friends. Influence from, I call it like influence from external factors. External factors can be culture, external factors can be friends, external factors can be value systems, external factors can even be pastors. I did a case for one of the very top three churches in Nigeria. If I won't, I can't mention the name. But I had a sit down with the GO of that church, and he told me one thing. My own approach to cases where a church is involved is that first, the name of the church must not go into the public space. But the nature of that case was so bad that the GO of the church was ready to imprison his member because the member was also on top of the food chain. So sometimes external factors can be church. There are so many popular cases out there, right? I don't need to mention the names. You already know where there was domestic violence and the church didn't do anything about it, and it eventually led to the demise of somebody. It happens so many times. Now, the last thing on the list is domestic violence. Domestic violence. Now, when we hear domestic violence, our immediate approach is to think that somebody was slapped or somebody was hit or somebody, suffered an injury. But that is not even it's not even a quarter of what domestic violence is about. That is what we just interpret domestic violence to be. Domestic violence can be financial, domestic violence can be emotional, domestic violence can even be psychological. So it cuts across so many things. If you get married to somebody, for instance, and the person immediately you step into his house, the person wants you to sever all your ties with all your family members. That's isolation. What's the person isolating you for? He wants to use it for money for money rituals or what? So we've seen instances where this isolation led to violence that could not be reported because there was no means to reach out. So that's my five list of things. There's the finances to it. There's the extended family. There's the domestic violence. There's the I've mentioned the in-laws, and basically, so that's my immediate five response to that question. There are so many other things, but if you look at it in depth, you can merge it under one of these subjects.
Yes. Sorry, the law. One question entered my head now, and I want to
Yes,
ask.
no, I'm with you. Please go on.
Can somebody come to the court and say, okay, a spouse files for a divorce on grounds of infidelity, and then they ask the Bobo, what do you have a reason? Say, because my wife was not giving me, so I went outside. Because that's what we hear now.
I've seen it.
Yes, that's what we hear. Because she did not give me, so I went outside. So, does that reason hold water in the law?
It doesn't hold water. It doesn't hold water. There will never come a time where the perpetrator of the crime becomes a victim. It will never hold water. Because if your spouse was denying you sex, there are steps you could have taken, right? Before you even come to court to ask for the court to give an order, you could have blown whistle, called a family meeting, spoken to the person's friend, spoken to the person's respected third
Some
party
say
support.
psychologist.
Why are we even going far? Speak to a sexologist. There are so many things you could have done. So curing a crime with a crime is not the solution. It can never, there's no cause that would ever grant that as a reason that you went outside because your spouse refused to. Now, if you want to be emotional about it, you can say, okay, well, emotionally speaking, that spouse refused to do their due diligence, but legally speaking, it holds zero water under the law. Zero water.
Okay. Thank you. You people should say thank you. You people should say thank you to Mr. Olutumbio.
Always a
He
pleasure.
left his
Always a
beautiful
pleasure.
wife and son to come and be talking to us about divorce things this night. Thank you so much, Dilo. I'm so
My pleasure.
grateful. As you can see, we learned a lot. Everybody says we learned a lot. We learned a lot. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
for
this.
having me. Thank you
And
for
yes,
having
it's
me.
going to be saved. is going to be saved here on YouTube. Why are you just bringing your own question now? In a situation where both spouses are cheating, what's the divorce case like? Like,
Uh, that's a very funny question. That's a very funny question. So,
where both
if both
spouses,
spouses are cheating, I mean, what I don't know how. So I've never seen this happen in court before, but just thinking about it, you know, if both parties are bringing their case on the ground of infidelity, right? So what we would probably say is who cheated first?
who
Who
starts?
cheated first? And who cheated first is means that who filed their case first. So if this person comes to court as to say that, oh, I'm filing because of infidelity, and the other person files and says this person also cheated, the court will have to just that case will be dissolved. It must be dissolved because two cheating people cannot live together. They can't live together,
Yeah.
but I'm quite certain that the mind of the court will go back to what the law says, right? It says infidelity is a ground for a divorce. It's a ground. So if both parties are committing the crime, then the court will definitely grant the dissolution of marriage. So if you file first, bring your own infidelity. Let the other person bring evidence of their own infidelity. Whoever can prove actual infidelity would get the court to give an order on their own case. But that's a very good question.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Olutunde Babayomi. I'm truly grateful.
Always a pleasure.
I'm truly
Always a
grateful
pleasure.
for this night.
Always a pleasure.
Please, I'm still going to call you because we need to
I'm
record this
available
thing.
because I'm available
The day
anytime.
YouTube say they're not doing it again, we'll have it somewhere. We need to
Somewhere.
record this thing and have. So yes, guys, if you have questions, send in your questions. Send in your questions. We're still going to deal with this extensively. We're still going to deal with this topic extensively. Send in your questions. Let's deal with it. And if it's not as regards the law, it could be any aspect of your sexual life. It could be medical. Just send the questions. I will look at it and know who the professional to bring in will be. That's just to say that I'm giving people accountability. I want to keep doing this live. Let me not say every Saturday, but I want to keep doing this live.
Consistently as
The
possible.
best I know is I want to keep showing up. So sending your
Yeah.
questions, send the DM, whatever it is. We'll know who to bring up, and if it's something that it's within my own purview, I would definitely deal with it. Thank you, Barrister Lutumbi.
Thank you so
God
much.
bless
Thank
you
you
for
for the
tonight.
opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Always
Bye.
a pleasure. Bye then. Bye then.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Keep your fingers crossed. There are going to be many other live sessions right here on YouTube. So send in your questions, put in a comment, whatever it is, don't be ashamed. If you want to do it anonymously, okay, probably what we're going to do is to set up an anonymous link where you can, and I'll put it on my bio, both on YouTube and on Instagram, where you can just click there and type your question. Now, when we look at those questions, we can either shoot videos or come on live to have this session. Please, people to take their pictures and be going somewhere else, not on my live. All right. Thank you so much, my people. Thank you for showing up. I truly appreciate this. And we will do this again. Yes, it's going to be saved here on YouTube. So you can always share the link to your friends and family. Could be somebody going through a divorce, could be somebody that is thinking about it. Just send it, share it. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, because a whole lot is coming on the Sex Evangelist page. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless you. Please don't forget, before I do, it's coming up on the 25th and 26th of September. It's for couples about to wed. So if you have a friend, it's better than buying Asoebi. Trust me, Asoebi is for you. The money might not end up never reaching the couple's hand. Do you understand me? You can actually sign up as a gift to a couple for them to get this training. It's a 2 days masterclass. And I'm not letting it out of the bag yet. I have a very amazing facilitator joining me to do this. Turn on post notifications and you get that. Thank you, Desmond, for joining. Ghana, we have gist. Thank you, Desmond, for joining. I truly appreciate your support, your continuous support. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good night.